If I told you that a younger woman can be completely drawn to you, deeply interested in you, silently hoping you make a move, and you still miss every single sign she gives, would you believe me? Because that is exactly what's happening to thousands of men every day. Not because they're unattractive, not because they're unworthy, but because no one ever taught them how to read interest, how to lead with confidence, or how to understand the psychology behind a woman's behavior. And while they're busy overthinking, she's quietly losing interest, telling herself, if he can't even take the first step, how will he handle anything deeper? You need to understand something powerful. Younger women don't wait for just anyone. They wait for the man whose energy makes them pause, whose presence makes them feel something they can't easily explain. And if she's waiting for you, if she's giving you those subtle signals that only a confident man catches, it means she already sees potential in you that you haven't even owned yet. She's not confused. She's observing. She's watching whether you stay trapped in hesitation or whether you step into the role she already feels you're capable of. If you've ever wondered why she looks at you twice, why she gets nervous around you, why she puts herself in your space again and again, it's not random, it's intentional. Women don't gamble their energy, they invest it. And if she's investing it in you, then the only thing standing between you and everything you want is your ability to recognize the moment and act on it. So before you scroll, before you overthink, before you tell yourself it's impossible, stay. Because once you understand what her signals actually mean, you'll never miss your chance again. Stay with me until the end. This might be the moment that changes everything for you. When I say women don't hint, they test, I need you to really understand the depth of that. Because most men keep waiting for a clear sign, a loud invitation, a perfect moment, not realizing that women rarely operate in that space. Especially younger women, they don't walk up and declare interest. They watch, they observe, they analyze the way you carry yourself long before you ever speak to them. And what you interpret as mixed signals are actually micro tests of your certainty. They are trying to see whether the man in front of them reacts from insecurity or responds from grounded confidence. A younger woman may hold your gaze just 1 second longer. She may soften her tone when she speaks to you. She may position herself closer to you in a group setting. These moments are not accidental. These are tests of presence. She wants to see whether you notice her without being desperate, whether you engage without being needy, whether your attention is deliberate rather than thirsty. Because attraction for women is not triggered by what you say, it's triggered by what you embody. Women don't test your words, they test your energy. They test whether your internal world is as stable as your external posture. And the younger she is, the more she senses the difference between a man who is pretending to be confident and a man who owns his confidence. A woman's intuition can read through your hesitation, your doubt, your insecurity in seconds. She picks it up in the way your voice shifts when you speak to her, the way your shoulders tense when she looks at you, the way your attention scatters when you don't know how to handle feminine energy. This is why I say women don't hint. They test. A hint is something you give when you want to communicate. A test is something you give when you want to evaluate. She does not want to communicate interest too directly because that would mean she is leading the interaction. And women do not want to lead. They want to lean into a man who already knows how to lead himself. You think she is shy. You think she is reserved. You think she is playing games. No. She is scanning your emotional strength. She wants to see whether you can stand still in the presence of feminine attention or whether you crumble under it. Understand this deeply. When a younger woman gives you a subtle sign, she is not trying to seduce you. She is trying to understand you. She wants to know if you are the kind of man who needs validation from women or the kind of man who already validates himself. If your attention feels controlled, she feels safe. If your energy feels calm, she feels drawn. But the moment your attention becomes shaky, rushed, or overeager, she senses the insecurity behind it. And nothing repels a woman more than a man who cannot regulate himself emotionally. This is where men misunderstand the entire dynamic. They believe women want effort, compliments, chasing. But younger women especially aren't drawn to effort. They're drawn to certainty. They want to feel that you are clear about what you want. They want to feel that you can take a step towards them without losing your balance. They want to feel that approaching them is a choice, not a plea for approval. This is why her subtle gestures are tests. She wants to know whether you can read the room without being desperate for reassurance. She wants to know if you can lead without needing constant signals. Women are not playing hard to get. They are guarding their emotional investment. And to protect that investment, they need to see whether the man in front of them can handle responsibility. Not financial responsibility, not material responsibility, but emotional responsibility. The responsibility of direction, the responsibility of intention, the responsibility of clarity. A younger woman will not put herself fully in the hands of a man who is wobbling inside. So when she remains subtle, it's not because she wants to confuse you. It's because she wants to reveal you. Think about it. If she is younger, she knows you have more experience. She expects you to lead communication with confidence. She expects you to understand nuances without being spoon-fed. She expects you to approach without hesitating, because hesitation signals fear. And men who fear rejection cannot lead a woman anywhere. Women don't test your attraction, they test your courage. They want to see if you're capable of stepping forward when the moment presents itself. They want to see if you're guided by desire or paralyzed by doubt. Let me make this clear. If a younger woman looks at you with interest, she's already made an internal decision about you. The test is not whether she likes you. The test is whether you are mature enough to create a space where she feels safe liking you. She shouldn't have to guide you into making a move. She shouldn't have to signal repeatedly. She shouldn't have to flirt loudly. She gives you one or two signs, then she steps back and observes whether courage or fear drives you. Because from her perspective, a man who needs too many hints is a man who doesn't trust himself. And if he doesn't trust himself, how can she trust him? This is why some men lose women without ever knowing they had a chance. The signs were there, but the internal hesitation drowned the external opportunity, and she interprets that hesitation as incompatibility. She thinks, if he can't take the lead in something this small, how will he lead in something that actually matters? That one thought is enough for her to disconnect emotionally. So when she gives you subtle signals, understand that she is not communicating interest. She is evaluating your emotional stability. And emotional stability is the foundation of attraction for women. You can be older, wiser, experienced. But if you can't stand in your own certainty, none of it matters. This is where you need to shift your mindset. Stop trying to decode hints. Start paying attention to presence, yours and hers. When she leans closer, respond with calm. When she asks questions about you, deepen the conversation. When she holds your gaze, match it without flinching. When she softens her voice, keep yours steady. These small responses tell her everything she needs to know, not because you're performing, but because you're grounded. Women don't fall for the loudest man, they fall for the man whose silence carries confidence. Women don't fall for the most aggressive man, they fall for the man whose calmness feels like protection. Women don't fall for the most charming man, they fall for the man whose authenticity feels like truth. So the next time a younger woman gives you a subtle sign, don't freeze, don't overthink, and don't inflate her importance. Meet the moment with clarity. Meet her energy with stability. Meet yourself with courage. And remember one truth that most men never understand: she isn't testing your game. She's testing your certainty. And certainty is the only language she truly responds to. When I say she's not waiting for a perfect man, she's waiting for a decisive one, I want you to understand how profound that truth really is. Because most men today are trapped inside the idea of perfection. They believe they need to perfect their looks, perfect their finances, perfect their lines, perfect their timing before they approach a woman, especially a younger woman, and what they don't realize is that perfection is not attractive to women. Certainty is, direction is, presence is. The man who knows what he wants will always outperform the man who is constantly trying to become more likable. Younger women especially are hyper-aware of authenticity. They can sense when a man is performing, trying too hard, chasing approval instead of owning his space. Perfection is a performance. Decisiveness is a presence. And presence is what she responds to. She doesn't care if you stumble over a word. She doesn't care if your hair isn't perfectly styled. She doesn't care if your approach isn't cinematic. She notices your intention. She notices the steadiness in your voice. She notices the clarity in your eyes when you speak. She notices whether you move with conviction or with hesitation. And conviction, even imperfect, is always more attractive than hesitation wrapped in perfection. Think about this. Every younger woman who gravitates toward an older man does so because she senses emotional stability. Stability is not perfection. Stability is decision-making. Stability is leadership. Stability is knowing what you want without doubting yourself every 2 seconds. The moment a woman sees you hesitate, she doesn't think, "Oh, he needs improvement." She thinks, "He's not sure of himself." And a woman will not place her trust in a man who is unsure of himself. Decisiveness is not about being aggressive, it's about being clear. Women are deeply drawn to men who know how to move. A man who says what he thinks, a man who directs without dominating, a man who doesn't pause and seek constant reassurance before he decides, a man who sees an opportunity and steps into it before fear starts building excuses. Because women don't want to lead you out of your doubt. They want you to rise out of it on your own. This is why so many men lose attraction without even realizing it. Because they think being careful, being overly respectful, being passive, being cautious is gentlemanly. But gentleness is only attractive when the man carrying it is also firm. A soft man is ignored. A gentle man who stands on certainty is magnetic. Younger women don't want a man who asks for permission to exist. They want a man who stands in his identity. They want a man who can make decisions without fearing judgment. Because if you fear judgment, you cannot protect her from the world. And she knows it. She wants to feel that when she is with you, she doesn't have to think for both of you. She doesn't have to guide the conversation, carry the energy, or initiate every interaction. She wants to relax into her feminine energy, and that only happens when your masculine energy is decisive. Decision-making is not a skill, it's a state of being. It is the ability to act without waiting for perfect conditions, the ability to speak without rehearsing, the ability to choose without apologizing. That is what she responds to. When a younger woman shows interest, she is not asking you to be flawless. She's asking you to be intentional. She's not waiting for you to look perfect. She's waiting for you to move with confidence. She's waiting for you to step forward without second-guessing yourself. She's waiting for you to show that you are emotionally secure enough to lead an interaction without losing yourself in fear. And here's the truth: most men refuse to accept. Hesitation is more unattractive than rejection is painful. One moment of hesitation can collapse the entire dynamic. Because when you hesitate, you tell her that your fear is stronger than your desire. You tell her that you are more loyal to your doubt than to your intuition. You tell her that you cannot handle her energy because you're too busy fighting your own insecurity. Decisiveness doesn't mean you never feel fear. It means you don't let fear make your decisions. Decisiveness doesn't mean you never overthink. It means you don't allow overthinking to control your actions. It means you take the first step, even if you don't know what the 10th step looks like. Women don't expect you to have the entire path figured out. They just expect you to be the one who starts walking. And let me tell you something else. That younger woman who seems so calm, confident, or mysterious around you, she notices everything. She notices the slight hesitation before you speak. She notices the way your energy shifts when you doubt yourself. She notices when you disconnect from your own authority. And when she sees lack of direction, she backs away. Not because she doesn't like you, but because you've shown her you can't lead. A woman cannot surrender to a man who cannot decide. She cannot trust a man who cannot act. She cannot respect a man who doesn't trust his own voice. So when she shows interest and you respond with calm, decisive energy, something shifts inside her. She relaxes, she softens, she opens. She becomes receptive because your certainty creates safety, and your safety creates attraction. Women don't fall for men who wait. Women fall for men who choose. A man who chooses his words, a man who chooses his actions, a man who chooses direction, a man who chooses courage over comfort. She wants to feel that you are not intimidated by her youth, her energy, or her presence. She wants to feel that you are steady enough to stand strong even when she tests you. That steadiness is what sets you apart from every younger man she has ever entertained. So when she gives you an opening, don't freeze. Don't pretend you didn't feel the moment. Don't hide behind the excuse of not wanting to be wrong. Make the move. Speak the truth. Lean into the moment. Show her that you are a man who acts, not a man who waits. Because at the end of the day, she doesn't want a perfect man. She wants a man who moves with purpose. She wants a man who chooses clarity over fear. She wants a man who acts, and the man who acts is the man she remembers. So remember this: perfection impresses the world, but decisiveness attracts a woman. Only one of those will change your life. When I say her interest is a reflection of your potential, I'm asking you to look at yourself with a level of honesty most men avoid. Because when a younger woman shows interest in you, she isn't reacting to your age, your style, your income, or the image you think you're projecting. She's responding to something deeper, something you might not even realize you're carrying. Women, especially younger ones, are intuitive in ways men underestimate. They feel your energy before they analyze your behavior. They sense your internal state, even when your external presentation looks polished. And when she becomes drawn to you, it's often because she sees a version of you that even you haven't fully stepped into yet. She sees your leadership potential in the way you speak. She senses your emotional maturity in the way you listen. She observes your self-control when you don't rush. She feels your presence when you're not trying to impress her. And this is something men never talk about. Women don't fall for who you are. They fall for who you are becoming. They fall for the energy you hold, the direction you embody, the purpose you radiate. Even if you're still growing into that identity, you might think you're just standing there, having a casual conversation, but she's picking up on your emotional self-awareness. She's noticing the way you hold your ground when you speak. She's noticing whether you're centered or reactive. And when she leans in, when she gives you attention, eye contact, curiosity, it's because something in your presence feels safe, solid, and promising. Women don't attach themselves to men who are lost within themselves. They attach themselves to men who are moving towards something, men who have a sense of internal direction, men who are committed to becoming better, not for her, but for themselves. She might be younger, but don't confuse youth with lack of insight. Younger women today are exposed to emotional vocabulary, psychological concepts, and relational awareness that previous generations never had. They can read men with shocking accuracy. They can sense when a man is drifting. They can sense when a man is wounded. They can sense when a man is pretending. But they can also sense when a man carries a quiet strength, a sense of self. a purpose, a direction. She might not articulate it in those words, but she feels it, and her interest becomes a direct reflection of that. This is why I say she's responding to your potential, not your perfection, because potential is movement. Potential is growth. Potential is self-investment. Younger women are drawn to older men not because of age, but because older men often have more structure, more identity, more clarity. But if you're an older man who has stopped growing, stopped evolving, stopped leading yourself, she will feel the stagnation immediately. Stagnation kills attraction faster than any flaw ever could. But the man who remains teachable, curious, ambitious, he radiates life. And women feel that. They follow that. What she sees in you is not something random. It is something rare. She sees the strength you've built from challenges. She sees the emotional depth you've developed through experiences. She sees the patience and calmness younger men usually can't offer. She sees the internal discipline that you maybe don't even acknowledge in yourself anymore. And she sees the contrast between your centeredness and the chaos she sees in men her age. But here's the part most men never understand. Her attraction is not a compliment. It's a mirror. A younger woman's interest mirrors back to you the parts of yourself you've been ignoring, the confidence you downplay, the wisdom you don't value, the maturity you think no one notices. Her interest is not accidental, it's a response to your potential. But potential without action becomes disappointment. Women are drawn to men who grow, but they disconnect from men who stay still. And this is where many men fail. They get comfortable when a younger woman shows interest. They think they've secured her. But the moment you stop moving, you stop being attractive to her. Because she didn't come to you for perfection. She came to you for progression. She wants to feel that you are becoming more each day, not for her validation, but because it's your internal nature to expand. She wants to see that your discipline comes from identity, not from trying to impress her. She wants to know that your maturity is who you are, not who you perform as. A woman's attraction is a response to your becoming, not your pretending. And if she senses you are pretending, she disappears quietly, without explanation, not because she stopped liking you, but because the version of you she was attracted to wasn't real. This is why some women pull away suddenly, because the potential they felt from you wasn't matched by your actions. You became passive, you became comfortable, you started relying on her attention instead of your own self-discipline, and she felt the shift. Women always feel the shift before you even realize you've changed. But here's the good news: the same way she can feel you falling off, she can also feel you rising. If you step back into your potential, she senses it instantly. If you regain your clarity, she notices. If you rebuild your discipline, she feels it. Because she was never attracted to the superficial parts of you. She was attracted to the deeper parts, your direction, your depth, your discipline, your certainty. So when a younger woman shows interest in you, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is she seeing that I need to see in myself? Let her attraction be your wake-up call. Let it remind you of who you are capable of becoming. Let it guide you back into your own identity. Because when you rise into the potential she senses, you don't just become more attractive to her, you become more powerful to yourself. And remember one timeless truth: her interest is not an invitation to relax. It is a reminder to rise. She sees your potential. Now it's your job to step into it. When I say she already chose you, now she's waiting to see if you choose yourself. I'm talking about a dynamic men almost never understand. A younger woman doesn't wait because she's confused or unsure or shy. She waits because she's observing the one thing that truly matters to her. Whether you stand firm in who you are, her interest is already there. The emotional door is already open. She's already leaned in energetically. The question she's asking now is simple: is this a man who can handle the weight of being chosen? Because most men want to be chosen, but they don't know how to carry that choice. They collapse under the pressure of their own self-doubt. They start overthinking, overanalyzing, and rehearsing instead of living. They forget that attraction is not built on perfection. It is built on certainty. She is not waiting for you to impress her. She is waiting for you to reveal your steadiness. She is waiting to see if the man she felt drawn to is the same man who will show up when it's time to act. A younger woman pays attention to how you treat yourself even more than how you treat her. She watches how you hold your boundaries. She watches how you make decisions. She watches the way you handle stress, conflict, discomfort. She watches your relationship with your own confidence. Because she knows something men don't often acknowledge: the way a man chooses himself is the way he will show up for her. If he doubts himself, he will doubt her. If he betrays himself, he will eventually betray her. If he avoids growth, he will avoid emotional responsibility. So when she waits, she's not stuck. She's evaluating your internal structure. She's waiting to see if you stand on your values or only mention them. She's waiting to see if your words mean something or if they collapse the moment they're tested. She's waiting to see if your self-respect is real or performative. And she doesn't need to confront you directly. She reads your energy. She reads your choices. She reads your silence. Women don't need explanations. Your behavior reveals everything. And this is where most men fail without realizing it. They think the woman is waiting for them. But she's really waiting for evidence. Evidence that you are aligned with the man she initially felt connected to. Evidence that your confidence wasn't a mask. Evidence that you are emotionally reliable. Evidence that you're not just attracted to her, but committed to your own identity. Because only a man committed to himself can offer her emotional security. When a younger woman holds space for you, she is giving you an opportunity, not a guarantee. She's giving you room to step forward, not permission to hesitate. She's giving you emotional access, not emotional ownership. And this is why hesitation destroys attraction so quickly. The moment a woman feels you shrinking into doubt, she feels emotionally unsafe. Not unsafe because of you, but unsafe because of your uncertainty. Women don't fear rejection. They fear instability. Men assume women pull away because of something superficial. But women pull away the moment they sense a fracture in your self-belief. Understand this deeply. When she waits for you to make a move, she's not waiting for bold words or charming lines. She's waiting to see if your actions match your energy. She's waiting to see if you're willing to take responsibility for your desire, because desire without action feels like emotional immaturity to her. She wants to feel that you can handle the dynamic, not hide from it. She wants to feel that you choose with strength, not with fear. And the truth is, she already made her choice. She already sees something in you that resonates with her. She already gave you signals: eye contact, softness, openness. That was her move. Now she steps back, not because she's losing interest, but because the masculine move comes next. She needs to see whether you choose yourself before you choose her. When you hesitate, she assumes you are disconnected from your own identity. When you overthink, she senses you're not anchored. When you seek reassurance, she sees insecurity instead of intention. But when you move with clarity, everything inside her relaxes. Her tests stop, her walls drop, her feminine energy opens. Because certainty in a man creates safety in a woman. And safety is the foundation of attraction, not gifts, not attention, not effort. Safety, emotional safety, the safety of knowing the man in front of her trusts himself. If he trusts himself, she can trust him too. This is what men misunderstand. She isn't waiting for the right words. She's waiting for the right version of you. The version of you who doesn't doubt his own decisions. The version of you who doesn't question his value. The version of you who doesn't fear rejection because he knows rejection doesn't define him. The version of you who stands in who he is without apology. And when you show up in that version, the dynamic shifts instantly. She becomes more expressive. She becomes warmer, she becomes more feminine, more open, more responsive, because she finally sees alignment. She sees a man who is not limited by fear, a man who doesn't shrink when he feels something real, a man who honors his own desire. That is the man she's been waiting for. But if you fail to choose yourself, she interprets it as you failing to choose her. Women don't separate a man's self-confidence from his romantic confidence. They are one and the same. If you doubt yourself, she assumes you doubt the connection. If you hesitate, she assumes you're not ready. If you pull back, she assumes you're emotionally unavailable. And she's not going to drag you into readiness. She will simply walk away with quiet disappointment, knowing you weren't as strong as she hoped. Let me make something clear. A woman waiting for you is a woman giving you an opportunity to lead, not dominate. Lead. Lead with direction. Lead with clarity. Lead with intention. Not because she's weaker, but because she's feminine, and femininity flourishes in the presence of masculine certainty. So when she gives you that window, that opening, that moment of softness, don't waste it analyzing what it means. It means she chose you. Now the question is, will you choose the version of yourself she believes in, or will you fall back into the version you've outgrown? A younger woman waits not for your move, but for your self-alignment. And only when a man is aligned with himself can he approach a woman with the kind of confidence that transforms everything. So understand this truth. She's not waiting for a perfect man. She's waiting for the man who decides he is enough. She's waiting for the man who chooses himself first, and then chooses her with a steady hand. Your courage is the final signal she needs. Choose yourself, and she'll know exactly where to stand.